Welcome back to the tutorial for the hardest mode in God of War 2018. Here I'm going to be mainly showing two hidden areas. One to get the apple to increase the health bar. And I don't remember exactly what was in the other location, but both of these areas are along the shoreline. If you just go around the perimeter of where the main area is located, you'll find both areas. So it's easy to find, but I thought it was worth showing because the health upgrade is pretty essential on this mode. Any extra hits you can take will save your ass, so I don't usually show a lot of this in the videos. I've mostly been showing combat, but I figured I would show this. Since I forgot to pull up the map, I figured I would just show the traversal itself just to show where the areas are. But it's very easy to find. All you do is go around the perimeter of this area, and you'll see both shorelines. And then after I show these two parts, these optional areas, then we'll see some main combat in the first main area for this mission, which can be tough. It can be very hard, but there's definitely some ways to exploit it and make it a lot easier. It just takes long. Using the axe throws and, pretty simple tactic, but it works. Same thing with these smaller encounters are easy as well, so there's not much to them. You can exploit them with the axe throws. Once the serpents come out, I find them easier to deal with. Using the R2 attack to get them. Once they attack, I'll roll away and then use R2 to get them up in the air, and then you can hit them with R1. But for now, you just deal with these enemies. The arrows also do a lot of damage to those floating eyeballs, so you can use those to get their health down fast. I think I already had the charged throw move as well by this point in the game. I just, for some reason, forgot to use it. I haven't really been using it. But I'll probably try to remember to use it again soon. Because when you're far back throwing the axe, a lot of times you will have time to charge up some of the throws. I don't know if there's anything too important in here, but I just explored this area to see if I was missing anything. I think there's just a little bit of hack silver, and that's it. This area... Oh yeah, I think this area does have two serpents that come out. It can be annoying when there's a lot of other enemies, but there's not much to deal with here, unless you spawn everything at the same time. But that's why I would suggest just staying around the shore and first spawning, because once you go in here, you're going to spawn the serpents, so you don't want to have them, moving around while you're fighting the other enemies. So it's better to activate them a little later. But yeah, usual tactic here, as I was saying, just roll away, and I'll usually use R2 to get them out of the ground, to keep them up in the air when they're, because they'll try to hit you. As soon as they come up to the ground, they come out with a strike, so just roll away and then hit them with R2. I use some rage here just to get them down. Because, two of them can always be dangerous. Whenever there's two at the same time. But yeah, see, R2 to get them up in the air and then some R1 strikes. That's a good way to do a lot of damage. So if you have one alone, you can just beat the shit out of it with that and take out most of its life. But it's when other things are going on that it becomes more dangerous. But this section is easy compared to the other areas that we've been dealing with. I think I may have only had maybe one death on these two optional areas. I don't think I had much death here. But the next main part that's coming up, that part I died a lot. That was tough. But I ended up just using a more cautious technique of keeping my distance and throwing the axe and going from the left chamber to the right chamber back and forth, which you'll see. You'll see it soon enough. There's one more I think there's another optional area, unless I don't even remember if I just showed the other area, but yeah, there's two optional areas that I show, and then it goes on to the main area, but you know, I figured it was worth showing. I had watched videos beforehand to see what was coming up. That's why I figured out these puzzles fairly quickly, because I already had seen what to do. So I saved myself some time. I don't want to show myself fucking around trying to figure things out or wandering around aimlessly, so I try to keep it clean. That's why I've mainly only been showing combat, but I will show some item gathering here and there. Especially with stuff that's... See, that's a really good move. The Frost Giant's Frenzy. I switched over to that. It's good. It does a lot of damage. You can really... If you use it, you can, you know, get in some strong hits on an enemy that's close in. It doesn't work great in the against the Dark Elves, though, always, because they usually get away from it. They're very fast, so... yeah, so you knock that down and you'll get some rare gold. It's a rare kind of gold that you use for upgrades, I think. And then you break that shit. That releases a chest that you'll get later. And throw the axe through there, recall it, and you'll get the third one by recalling it. But yeah, I mean, the main items that I'm probably going to show, well, you know, I'll definitely show any kind of apples or horn upgrades, since those give you permanent health and rage upgrades. And I'll probably show, like, runic, you know, like getting the runics is important, so I'll probably show that stuff. But yeah, as I mentioned in the previous video, I got this great talisman. You just buy it off of the I think you just get it from the blacksmith. And it's not that expensive, but it gives you a burst of rage. You'll see it in the description. Instead of a burst of health, you can get, you know, because the talisman I've been using gives you a burst of health. But instead of using that, you can get the one that gives you a burst of rage on your rage bar. It gives you a little boost in your rage bar. And what's great about that is that when you have full rage, you get health back anyway for using the rage mode. So, you know, it kind of evens out as far as getting health back. And not only that, but it recharges with time. So you could, if you wait around long enough, you could have a full rage bar for each encounter that gives you a break in between. Because you can just keep recharging it and using it again and again until you have a full bar. And, you know, as with health, you can always get full health at the beginning of a checkpoint by committing suicide, because the game will start you with full health, so you don't need to exploit the health talisman in that way. So I find the rage talisman a lot more useful, so I would recommend that. But yeah, so now we're going to be going to a second optional area. And I believe this is going to be the one that's going to be more useful, because I think this is the one where maybe I might get an apple here for the health bar increase. I don't think I already showed that. I should have paid more attention. But I know I get the apple, you know, in one of these optional areas, and it's all shown here, so if it's already been shown, then you've already seen it, so either way. Yeah, so here you deal with a few of these land serpents. I like dealing with them in this alcove, isolating them over here, because otherwise there's projectile guys that will shoot you the whole time. So in that alcove, you know, they can't really shoot you in there, so it's a good place to deal with these assholes. And then once you kill them, you can focus on the other enemies. And the other enemies, I think, are just, you know, enemies that you can throw the axe at and kill very easy. There's one down here, and then there's another one up on the ledge, so, you know, there's not much combat to deal with in this area. I think there may be 2 more serpents inside the upcoming room, but, you know, it's the same thing you just dealt with pretty much with the 2 serpents. Except there's no other enemies. And I wasn't sure how to get that one right away. So I just gave up on that for now. There may be a way to do it, but I wasn't sure what to do with that. Yeah, this part, all you got to do is open it, jump across, and just run across, and you'll get it. I stopped to pick up some gold or something, or some item. Yeah, so now you just fight two of these assholes again. Yeah, easy fight. But, you know, they can be sneaky, so you got to be careful with them. But see, that's the new Giant's Frost Frenzy, or whatever it's called. You see, it does good damage. I was able to get damage on both of them with that. It's a pretty good runic. Yeah, and then this will show how to get the, I think it's the apple. I wasn't able to do this puzzle either. I may need some other items or something. I wasn't able to get that to work. I think the apple was in here or something. Yeah, so for this you just have to, I was just looking around, make sure I didn't miss anything. But yeah, for this one, I think you don't have to hit them in a specific order, I don't think. But you just have to hit the correct ones. There's 3 of them that will activate the chest, so you got to hit the 3 correct ones. So I think those are the 3 correct ones. Yeah, and that's definitely worth getting because you'll eventually get your health upgraded. So I'll also be showing another one in this area. This is the next area for the main story. So, yeah, so freeze that guy, kick him in the pit immediately as soon as the fight starts. It's very easy to do. You just wait until he drops on the ground and then immediately throw the axe at him and just give him a kick into the pit. And you can take him out every time. So it's a free kill. And I believe in the next video is where I'll show how to get all the items in this area. I still have to edit that video. But, yeah, for here, you'll see what I end up doing. I start off aggressive. I use the rage to try to take out whoever I can. And, of course, you know, the first guy in the pit. And you can knock more guys into the pit if you do the rage well. That's rage stomp near the edge. But it can be hard to do with these guys to get them all in the pit. But I wasn't able to really do it too effectively. So what I ended up doing was going back to the old tactic of throwing the axe and using the arrows from a distance. And see, when they start encroaching on my safe space, then I get the fuck out of there, and I go over to this one on the other side, this alcove over here, and then I start throwing the axe again, and you know, I just repeat it until they start to get too close, and then I just get the fuck out. Very simple strategy. It's not a hard part if you do it like this. It can be very hard if you try to fight everybody. And what you definitely don't want to do is you don't want to walk over to the next area. You know, in front of me. Like, you don't want to go all the way across this area, because you'll spawn another wave of guys, and then you'll have to fight all the enemies at once. So, I mean, this is enough enemies to deal with at once. You don't really need to spawn more enemies. And I don't believe you get a checkpoint after killing these guys, so you're going to have to kill the next set of guys as well, and then you'll get a checkpoint. Because you have to clear out this whole area to get the checkpoint, so it's better to do it in steps. You know, take out the first half of guys first, and then you can go over to the other side. The second half of guys is easier to deal with, I think, than these bunch of guys. So once you deal with these, you won't have that much left to deal with. I think there's a decent amount of guys that spawn in, so it goes on for a little while. But it's really not that hard, you know, as long as you don't try to fight them all, like head on. And that eliminates the first series of waves. And then you have some scraggler enemy in here. And in the next video, I'll show how to get the item in there and all the items in this room. But for this video, it's just going to show the rest of the combat in this area. So yeah, you got this one easy enemy. I didn't know where the checkpoint was, so I was just playing it really safe and just sticking with throwing the axe. And if for some reason I did fuck up and die on this guy, which I don't think would have happened, but if I did, then I would have had to fight everybody again, because you have to clear out both main waves of enemies. Like, this is the second wave that you have to clear out to get the checkpoint. You don't have to kill that little scraggler enemy. I think that's an optional enemy, but... yeah, so now you have your last wave of enemies in this room. And see, if you were to go here early, then you'd have to deal with those 3 guys, or whoever comes out in that area, plus the guys you were fighting. So you don't really need to have like 7 guys at once. So it would be overkill. But yeah, this is even easier than the previous wave, because, you know, there's less guys to deal with. And the one enemy is very slow, so... I think I used one of my runics at one point to, because it makes you do this running charge attack. I think I use it at one point to get through the enemies just so I can get around to the other side again. So it can be useful for that if you need to get the fuck out. But a lot of times when you use the runics, they don't make you invincible when you use them, I noticed. There may be some invincibility frames in some of them, but, you know, you can die while you're doing the runic attacks. So you got to be careful with that. You know, they're not necessarily a safe thing to use. I've gotten killed a lot while using runic attacks. So yeah, I use my rage mode here and, you know, thin out the enemies. And then I think I continue to play it safe. I think I may eventually get out of this area, but I don't remember. No, maybe not. I think I already did that earlier in the fight. But yeah, that's it for now, and I'm going to put up the next video that shows a boss fight next, so stay tuned.